Welcome back to the 5. The Occupy Wall Street protests reaching a fever pitch. More clashes with cops right here in New York City. Take a look at this.
What's the significance of going down that street?
For us to go out the streets is to deny the pressure that's being put on us by our own social condition.
Well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do if they don't let you go down that street?
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
who are these people? Kim, meanwhile, all the celebrities, Susan Sarandon,
Right.
Alec Baldwin, in fact.
Michael Moore.
Alec Baldwin does commercials for none other than Capital One, a capitalist big Wall Street bank.
Yeah, why does anyone talk about that? How ridiculous. I mean, what a hypocrite. He's like, show me the money, pay me, bank, slap me some dollars, Capital One. In the meantime, he's like, you're evil. Get out of here. The worst. Wall Street corruption. I mean, what a double standard.
And Juan, we need to point out.
Well, I just don't get. Wait a minute. How is it a double standard if he has a social conscience?
Well, then why is he taking their paycheck allegedly for $1 million?
He's a talented celebrity. He's a talented actor, and he makes money doing it.
He has no problem taking the money and supporting and promoting and advertising.
I think the money does go to charity, doesn't it? I mean, I've read that the money he gets from that, he goes to
well, okay,
even if
I got to point it out.
Oh, show me the tax credit he gets.
Exactly.
Even if he pocketed the money,
Hold on, guys.
what's wrong? I think, look, he has a social conscience, and he says, you know what? It's crazy that these banks are too big to fail. The government bails them out. The government bails out Eric's friends on Wall Street, and then those guys turn around and they have their big Christmas bonuses, and then they're saying to everybody else, our profits are so high at record levels, but we're not hiring any Americans.
You can play this class warfare game like Obama does.
Class warfare. That is cheap out.
Monica, the protesters also marched in D.C. today on the Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
Somewhere around 70% of the members of the Chamber of Commerce are small businesses.
Small businesses that generate 70% of all job creation in this country, at least before the recession they did. Look, there is mass hypocrisy going on here. These protesters, the unwashed masses down there, are protesting corporations, the evil, dastardly doers down there in the corporations. But you know what? They're out there, they're eating Dunkin' Donuts, they're sipping lattes from Starbucks, they're tweeting on their iPhones.
The picture shows them being beaten.
This is all, no way, Juan. You're going to claim police brutality?
What did you just see in the picture?
The police in New York City have warned these folks over and over again not to storm the barricades, and these people are storming the barricades. They're getting right up in the cops' grill, and the police have behaved totally responsibly.
Greg, Michael Moore sues, the filmmaker, the people who produce his films for $2 million more on top of the $19 million. Keith Olbermann calls him out. Meanwhile, he makes millions. Capitalism seems to be working for a lot of these leftist, I don't know, nutbags.
Here's the thing. The thing that I'm kind of interested in is there are people in the media that are saying that if you were mad at how the media treated the Tea Party, then you shouldn't mock these guys, because I mock them, and I was critical of people who mocked the Tea Party, so I'm a hypocrite. I think that there's a big difference here. These guys are actually encouraged to be arrested. They work with the National Lawyers Guild. They realize that the more that they get arrested, the more exposure they get, and the cops are then in a tough spot because they don't want to arrest these guys. They don't want to mace these guys. But if they don't do anything, then they're not doing their job. Now, so I don't want to see people get beaten. I don't like watching that tape.
There's a very interesting little sidebar going on here. Yeah. If you go to the Occupy Wall Street website, they list the names of the unions and groups. One of the groups is MoveOn.org. Kimberly, MoveOn.org has contributed, has raised money for Obama time and time again. Is Obama in trouble if he links himself to these protests?
No. Well, and then they've tried to disavow. They don't want to even have the association with MoveOn.org because they say that's a DNC and Democratic Party powerhouse, fundraising money, which it is, all the commercials, all the stuff that they put out. But yeah, that is a nexus then to Obama. If I were the president and I'm running for re-election, I wouldn't want to have that associated with me. He tried to touch on it, hit it and quit it today during the
Let
conference.
me just tell you something. This
Yes,
is
respect their
good
First
news
Amendment
for
rights.
Democrats. It's activating the liberal base in this country that has been silenced. The power has been coming from the Tea Party. I think people who mock the Tea Party, and the Tea Party was far more astroturf than this is. The Tea Party is really from direct mail and big corporations. This thing is organic, and if you look at the polls, what the American people say is, you know what, we do have a class problem in this country, and it's time for President
I just want to make a
Obama
point.
to speak to this issue.
Do me a favor, Greg. Please, please defend the Tea Party. Please don't compare.
No, I was just.
You don't need to defend
it's a
it.
real simple point. The Tea Party was extremely organic. It came from a simple principle of limited government. When these protests started, Juan, when these protests started, they went
to study the history of the Tea Party. The Tea Party basically starts
Facebook,
from direct mail
they went to get their principles from Facebook.
Oh.
The Wall Street guys actually did a poll to find out what they believed in.
Right.
The Tea Party never did that.
And these protests are completely orchestrated by the unions and the global.
It is not. The
socialist
unions just joined.
We got to go. I just have to point out the only thing that would make these protesters more annoying, Greg.
Oh my God.
What is that?
Vuzelas.
What is happening?
Why give him that idea?
Should guns?
Why did you give him that idea?
Should guns be
Terrible
allowed
person.
in church? And Atlanta Federal Appeals Court is ruling on that issue. We'll
Oh
give you
my
our
gosh.
5 takes. That's next.
Please don't. Are you going to blow it again?
I haven't heard that thing in years.
Yeah.
And now it's back.
The World Cup.
Yeah, the World Cup.
Oh my.